Welcome to Star Wars 101. I'm Maude Garrett, and in each episode, I'll delve into the world of Star Wars and break down a particular aspect for you to wrap your head around. Today, I'll be chatting all about the lightsaber. Yes, the weapon used exclusively by Force users, both Jedi and Sith alike, is said to be an elegant weapon of a more civilized age, and in essence is a laser sword, in which the hilt projects a blade made of pure energy. Now, it's used in close-range combat, acting as both a sword to attack and a shield to deflect and even redirect blaster bolts being fired. This is why the lightsaber is only used by those wielding the power of the Force, because it needs quick reflexes and senses to aptly use the weapon. Those who are not trained to use it could actually do more damage than good. I'll talk about the construction of a lightsaber, including the unique color and build, and how they've been evolving over the years. So, how does one make a lightsaber? Well, a final part of the official Jedi and Sith training is to construct your very own lightsaber, meaning that every student must successfully craft their weapon to complete their training. Because of this, every single lightsaber is unique in design to reflect the owner. Now, the tools needed to construct a basic saber is all contained within the metal hilt, which is between 24 and 30 centimeters in length. Externally, there's an on and off switch. Internally, a lot. Crafters will need a power field conductor, power vortex ring, primary and focusing crystals, energy modulation circuits, magnetic stabilizing rings. But don't worry, these items can be found in this universe easily enough. The main items, though, are the power cell and the crystals. The main power cell would create high levels of energy upon activation that would be unleashed through a set of crystals that would turn the energy into plasma. Now, changing the settings within the hilt would determine how far the plasma is projected before the energy charge arcs back on itself, creating a full circuit. It would be contained within a force containment field, which should keep the wielder safe whilst keeping the blade's shape. The crystal itself is force attuned and is an incredibly important factor, as it determines the color of the blade as well as the strength of the saber, depending on the rarity of the gem. There are dozens of different types of crystals, but apparently the Kyber crystal is the most sought after by the Jedi, since its power was the strongest. Once the crystal was obtained, the Jedi would need to meditate with the Force to imbue the power of the crystal before placing it in the hilt of the saber. The Sith would use Sith crystals, which were synthetic and would favor the offensive powers. They'd imbue the crystal with negative energies, giving it that red color. Now, the color of the saber and its purpose is a little confusing. With the multiple levels of canon and the expanded universe becoming legends, the official reasoning behind the lightsaber color is kind of difficult to be certain of now. In the earlier years of the Star Wars universe, in the Old Republic era, the color of lightsaber determined the Jedi's class. So those with the blue saber were Jedi Guardian, who were more versed in combat and using the Force in a physical sense. Those with green sabers were the Jedi Consular, who reflected on the mystery surrounding the Force to fight the dark side from the core. And the yellow sabers were for the Jedi Sentinel, who not only knew the combat but also pursued the scholar side. The Padawans would know the direction that they were going from their training and would find and harvest the crystal that they required. This practice eventually fell out of use, and instead the Jedi would simply use blue or green crystals because those were the ones that were available at the time. Other colors like purple, orange, and yellow were used, but far more uncommon. Confusingly, other sources say that the crystal itself was colorless and would only produce a color after the intense meditation happened, because it would reflect how the user interpreted the Force. Once the Empire rose into power and issued Order 66, which was the order to kill all Jedi, the lightsaber was outlawed, and harvesting and trade of all of these crystals ceased. The red blade of the Sith is the only colored saber that has remained symbolic, indicating their alliance with the dark side. Now, once the Jedi or Sith had customized their weapon, they would train to use it. There were traditionally 7 different fighting styles. In the original movies, you only saw single saber combat. Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Luke all used one blade to fight. The choreography style here was kind of simple and reflected that of a sword fight. During the prequels, however, the choreography took a very different turn. George Lucas said that he wanted the combat to be reminiscent of what had been done in the previous films, but also something that was more energized. We've seen old men, young boys, and characters who are half droid, but we'd never seen a Jedi in his prime. I wanted to do that with a fight that was faster and more dynamic, and we're able to pull that off. Digging even deeper sees that there's various different types of training, from the basic Shi-Cho all the way of the Sarlacc, which focuses on disarming the opponent without harming them. Makashi, or Form 2, was all about fighting another lightsaber wielder. Soresu was taught to defend against blasters, but with the blast shield down, I can't even see. A Tor combined speed, high jumps, and acrobatics, think Yoda in the prequels. Jian or Jian So used strength to dominate their opponent, whereas Form 6, Niman, is a combination of all of those mentioned. Mace Windu created the 7th fighting style called Vapad, the most difficult of all training, which turns the Jedi into a conduit of the Sith's dark emotions. They channel them back to the opponent. Kind of dangerous. There are different types of sabers that we're seeing now more than ever, which are officially canon. The first time that Darth Maul ignited his double-bladed saber, my mouth hit the ground. I was like, what? Because for the first time, we saw that the traditional lightsaber could be added to, adjusted, and changed. In the Clone Clone Wars series, we saw the Darksaber, which is an ancient, thin, black blade with a curved tip. In Rebels, Ezra constructed a hybrid saber, which combines a lightsaber and a blaster, and since in that time, lightsabers were outlawed, this was a pretty clever disguise. And the saber garnering the most attention is the crossguard saber, as seen in the first teaser trailer for The Force Awakens, used by Kylo Ren. The hilt is there to protect the wielder's hands during combat, which is pretty important, since a common technique in fighting, the Cho Mei, was to remove the opponent's hands. No hands, can't use a lightsaber. That's why there's so many handless Jedi and Sith. So this crossguard happening isn't so stupid after all. High five. That's it for my 101 on the lightsaber. What was your favorite fun fact that you found out? What would you like me to cover in my next 101 series? Comment below. I'm Maude Garrett, and may the Source be with you. Clever pun.
Gal Gadot.
It's Gal Gadot.
Actually, it's Gal Gadot.
Announced at Comic-Con as Gal Gadot.
But it's...